I think they should be asking themselves, what would Walt Disney think of Disney today? I think he's turning in his grave. You want to have ideas that make you look forward to waking up in the morning. The environmentalist movement has gone too far. If you, in the natural extension of the environmentalist movement, if you go too far, you start to look at humanity as a bad thing. You start to look at humanity as though we are a plague on the surface of the earth. As though humanity is a bad thing. And in fact, there are some people who think and say explicitly that, in fact, there was on the front page of the New York Times, there was a guy who said, there are 8 billion people on Earth, it would be better if there were none. I think has gone too far. Yes, so said for me, you know, I think I am objectively one of the world's leading environmentalists. I'm of action, not talk. I act. There's really only one thing that matters from an environmental standpoint for carbon, which is that we are taking billions, eventually trillions of tons of carbon from very deep under the earth and transferring it to the atmosphere and oceans. That's actually really all that matters is taking vast amounts of carbon from underground where it's buried and moving it into the atmosphere by burning it. And if you do that for long enough, eventually you will get to climate change. Now, I think the climate change alarm is somewhat overblown in the short term. It's still a concern in the long term, but I think it's exaggerated in the short term. I'm trying to thread the needle here between what, what is pragmatic and what is sensible, what really matters and what doesn't matter. What really matters is that over the long term, over the course of the next several decades, that we gradually reduce how many millions and billions of tons of carbon that we move from underground and to the atmosphere, because we're running sort of a climate experiment that is dangerous. But I also don't think that I think of it as a fundamental civilizational risk. It's not going to destroy life on Earth. It's not going to destroy humanity, but it will create hardship if you change the climate over many decades. My message is I think much more pragmatic and I think correct and sensible. And I don't think we should demonize oil and gas. I think we should say, look, that is obviously necessary in the short term and the medium term too, and it'll take several decades to become sustainable. So I think if we just, without getting too worried about it, seek to have a sustainable energy future gradually, then that's what will happen. I think that some of the environmentalist movement is part of what is causing people to lose hope in the future. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we should have hope in the future. We should be excited about the future.
What's that, virus?
Yes, well, this is not something you should import from America. Please don't import the woke mind virus. It's bad. To summarize maybe the woke mind virus, it consists of creating very, very divisive identity politics. So it actually amplifies, woke virus, mind virus in my view, amplifies racism, amplifies, frankly, sexism, and all the isms. And while claiming to do the opposite, it actually divides people and makes them sort of hate each other, and it makes people hate themselves. And it's also anti-meritocratic. It's not it's not merit-based. So you want to have people succeed based on how hard they work and the talents, not who they are, whether they're man, woman, what race or gender. That stuff is all creating. It's an artificial mental civil war that is created. Woke mind virus is all about condemning people instead of celebrating people. When in the woke, it just doesn't celebrate. It's all about condemning and being divisive and being I think it's just evil, frankly. I'm very pro-human. I'm very pro-civilization. I'm in favor of humanity and our collective consciousness expanding on Earth and going beyond Earth, being a multi-planet species, a spacefaring civilization, and being out there among the stars and finding out the nature of the universe. Like all the things that, that seems like to me an exciting thing, something you can get really excited about. Is you can get excited. Like we want to have ideas that make you look forward to waking up in the morning, look forward to the day, look forward to the future. What excites you about the future? What moves your heart about the future? What makes you say like, yes, I'm glad about what will happen in the future? That's what we must, focus on. That's why we have to have a new generation. We've got to build and we've got to grow, understand the nature of this beautiful universe that we find ourselves in, the meaning of life, or even what questions to ask about. Let us explore this wondrous creation and have a good time doing it. An incredible country, incredible culture. I love visiting. I love the Italian people. So personally, I want the prosperity of Italy, and I want the prosperity of every country. I want the prosperity of humanity as a whole, and like I said, I want us to have an exciting future where we're fired up about what's going to happen and really excited. Italy is a great place to invest. That I do worry about the low birth rate, and if a company is to invest in Italy, they're like, well, you have to say like, will there be enough people to work there? Well, it's a simple question. If the workforce is declining, then who will work at the company? It's simple. If there's no people, there's no people to work.
Yeah, but I mean, in 50 years, 60.
No, I think it's even sooner than that, though.
You're so worried about that. Is the problem?
I feel like a total Cassandra here, because I seem to be worried about it much more than other people. There is no new generation of people. I'm just trying to state facts, So, I agree it's a good place to invest, and a wonderful country. So, please make more Italians, is what I'm saying.
Use another metaphor.
You asked me what do I think of artificial intelligence?
Obviously.
Well, you can think of artificial intelligence as the biggest inflection point in intelligence since Homo sapiens. Artificial intelligence will be essentially a sort of a new species, or is a new species. So I think one of the biggest challenges, if I look at, say, civilizational risk, the risk to the future of humanity, birth rate is one of them. If we just don't have kids and dwindle away, that's one which I've talked a lot about. The other is, there's always like potentially nuclear war, of course, that kind of thing. Then AI is also an existential risk, and we need to be. I think we need to be careful with the advent of AI. But it is very much very much a double-edged sword. You can think of AI as kind of like the magic genie, that like digital superintelligence will be capable of doing anything. So, a lot about what is consciousness and where does consciousness arise. To say like, because I think in terms of physics, at least if physics is true, then we go from the start of the universe where things are almost entirely hydrogen, and then if you leave the hydrogen out long enough, eventually it coalesces into stars, and then those stars explode, and then they recondense. Most of the mass in your body was once at the center of a star, which is kind of wild, billions of years ago. So where along the lines of hydrogen to human does consciousness arise?
You get very serious when you speak about that, huh?
Yeah, no, it's a real question. If you leave hydrogen out in the sun long enough, it starts talking to itself. Here we are, hydrogen talking to itself. I think we need to keep a close eye on artificial intelligence. I am in favor of some regulatory insight, just so that someone can at least be a referee. Industries that affect the good of the people, there are regulatory agencies that oversee those industries. Anything that's dangerous is overseen by some kind of referee or regulator. I think we should have the same thing for AI, just to help ensure that it is beneficial. The good part of AI is that we are headed for a future of abundance. So AI and robotics will mean that there are no shortage of goods and services. There will be goods and services. If you can think of it, you can have it, basically. This is quite profound. Like I said, it's the magic genie. AI and robotics will get you anything you want. Now, usually in these sort of fairy tales about magic genies, it doesn't turn out so well. You have to be careful what you wish for, even if what you wish for are wishes. It's just something we should be cautious about. Aside, it will bring many benefits, like I said. It will usher in an age of abundance. So the positive scenario of AI is that there's an age of abundance and there's no shortage of goods and services, that any scarcity that exists will be only because we define it to be scarce. And it does seem to be somewhat of an inevitable thing. You know, there's that supposedly that Chinese saying about may you live in interesting times. Well, I think we currently live in the most interesting of times in all of history right now. Anyway, so my recommendation on AI is I think we want some kind of regulatory oversight just to make sure that it's beneficial AI. Actually already seeing advertisers return to X. So I guess they were, I don't know, upset with something I said or something, I don't know. But they, you know, advertisers I think the brand advertisers are a little, they're always worried about their brand. And, you know, maybe, I think maybe a bit more than they should be. But I think it's a short-term issue. Like I said, the advertisers, they sometimes get upset, but then they usually calm down and they return to advertising. If we're going to fight the woke mind virus, then the woke mind virus will fight back. And unfortunately, Disney is deeply infected with the woke mind virus. In fact, if you ask an AI what is the most woke company on earth, it's Disney. I mean, I think they should be asking themselves, what would Walt Disney think of Disney today? I think he's turning in his grave.